The July plan with me is here. This month my theme is Delphiniums, but we're doing so much more, including a very fun self-portrait. Hey gang, welcome back. My name is Shayda Campbell, and on this channel we do all kinds of artsy stuff together, including bullet journaling. So this is my journal for 2020. It's from Bear & Fig. It's a cute little notebook, linked in the description. My 2020 planner though is already full. I've done so many different spreads this year, and if you've been following along since January, you know that we're following the birth flowers. So for every month, the flower is my theme. But yeah, what am I saying? Planner is full. I've been using it quite a bit, even though this year has been really weird. So I am switching over to a new notebook, but if you want to see any of this, I will link some of those videos below. Okay, upside down, but let's open this up. For the second half of 2020, I'm using the same Confidant notebook from Bear & Fig. It's got really nice thick dot grid paper. What I want to do to start the second journal of the year is just like a really simple cover page. And the Bear & Fig notebooks, the first page, like that very front page, it kind of doesn't lay flat with the other ones. So I want to do something that's pretty but really simple and kind of just get it out of the way. I've sketched a branch in pencil, and then I'm adding all the details with pen, some little berries, some line shading. And the idea here is just that I'm keeping it really minimal. When you leave a lot of negative space around your drawing, it makes everything look very sophisticated, but obviously it's quick to do and it looks pretty. In this video, we're covering so much: cute self-portraits, delphiniums, sketches, and a weekly layout. But before we get into that, I just wanted to mention that you can print my July delphinium themed cover page, as well as the weekly layout, which is nice if you don't have time to do it every week yourself. All of this is available on Patreon. We give weekly bonus content there, as well as an extra video, and it all starts at just $2 a month. So check it out after today's tutorial. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is kind of fun. I had this idea for a little self-portrait in a window cutaway page. I think it's fun to start the new journal with like a fun representation of yourself, right? I don't know, is that weird? Maybe a little, but I'm doing a cutaway window. So use a cutting mat, a little paper knife, and a ruler, and you're just carefully cutting a rectangle right in the center of a piece of one of the pages. And then we'll mark where that rectangle sits on the page below, and that's where we're gonna place our cute little self-portrait. And I'm gonna make this so simple. So mark your center point of that rectangle, and then I'm going to write the year below it. And then here's how we do it. You draw the circle for your head, put a little neck, simple 2 lines. I'm going to reshape the head a bit. Then we just drop down and do these rounded shoulders. And then we're doing a big circle around that first circle where a hat will sit. So put a hat on yourself. It's gonna look cute, I promise you. And then erase some of those pencil lines if you have a lot of sketchy lines, like I always do. Just clean it up before we get the markers out. Then you want to grab a bright color for sunglasses. Sorry. Okay, so I am putting some red glasses. Just do 2 circles, and if they're not equal, it doesn't matter, because you see when I go over it with the black, at that point when I have the control of the fine liner, that's when I, can make the frames look more perfect. After that, we just are going to fill in the bottom portion of the head and the neck with a color that you want to use for your skin. I'm using like a really light peach, and I think the red looks good with the peach, but if you have darker skin, like a tan skin would look good with purple sunglasses. Black skin would look good with like a lime green sunglass. So think about the contrast between the sunglasses and the skin color. And then your shirt as well. You can do some stripes or polka dots, whatever represents you. Think about pattern and color. Then the top of the head, do your hair. If you have bangs, you're gonna cover almost the entire forehead. Obviously, I have this little fringe of my pixie cut. Just keep it super simple, and then grab a color that's slightly darker than you used for the skin, and you just give yourself some little cheeks, maybe a little shading on the neck. This is coming together, and then you can choose what color you'd like to use for the hat. I'm doing kind of a straw hat, so I'm using a warm brown, and I'm just carefully tracing around my face, my ears, and then we're going to quickly and messily fill in the majority of that hat. And that is how easily this little self-portrait comes together. It's so simple. You're just doing the most basic details. Just the little face, the sunglasses make it very easy to draw, I think, because they're just two circles. And a little bit of pen or fine liner on top really brings everything together. You don't have to outline everything, just add a few details like nostrils, kind of important, with your pen. And then I'm going to go over that 2020 below. Okay, look at this cute little lady. This is really coming together. This illustration is so fun, and I really hope you'll give it a try, and please tag me on social if you do. Remember to use hashtag Shayda made me draw it to share your work. Okay, so this is fun as well. I wanted to do a little sky behind my portrait, and a fun trick when you're illustrating is to change up the color of the sky. If you want your illustration to look like really illustrative, like, you know, profesh, I think changing the sky from blue to a color like pink or yellow, it's just a fun trick, and everyone still knows it's the sky. I put a few clouds in there. I'm going to add a slightly darker pink to the bottom of the illustration and to the bottom of the clouds, and then that's it. This little cutie is done. The window makes it really just fun and cute. I'm definitely getting looser with my journal this year. I think breaking out into the world of color has made my style even more whimsical than it already was. So the plan now is to do a little wreath, kind of border this with some leaves. Obviously, yes, we can break out into drawing people, but we still have to come back to drawing flowers and leaves. So I'm using my Tombow brush pen, and the reason I love brush markers or pens is that they kind of work like a real paintbrush. I'm able to run that belly, the larger part of the brush, across the page, and a shape emerges, you know, a couple drags of that brush, and it's a leaf shape, and I'm not overthinking it, and I get these shapes and forms that are really natural, and for botanicals, that's great. So what I'm doing is using the tip of the brush to do these delicate stems and branches, and the belly of the brush to do these really natural looking leaves. And this is coming together. I really like the way that looks. I like the way the dark green looks with the pink sky. And I'm going to pick up the same color that I used, I guess that was the color I used for my face, and I'm going to do some little blossoms, and these blossoms are basically just little scribbles, and we'll give them a hint of darker pink as well. You could use any color there. Just pick up a color from the illustration below. Maybe the color you used for your sunglasses or your skin. And then I'm just completing this. I thought it needed some more leaves, so I'm filling in until it looks the way I want. A couple more leaves there, and that is done. Yeah, this was, I don't know where this came from. I was doing prep for the video, and I had this idea to draw a little lady, and I think what I want to say is that you can do this. Do those sunglasses, then some little shoulders, a cute shirt, a big hat. It comes together really simply, and the result is so fun for your own journal to have your little self-portrait. Let's flip that over, and we'll do our Delphinium themed July cover page. As usual, I'm doing a Dutch door, which means I'll be doing a cutaway. First things first, I want to think about my color palette. If you're working in marker, it pays to think about the colors ahead of time. Just have some scrap paper handy and kind of figure it out. I'm doing mostly blue delphiniums, although they are, I think they kind of range from purples and magentas through blues. And for the flower, it's quite vertical, so I've drawn some stems where I'll place the florals. And then you can see at the top, I start with these little heart shapes and scribbles for buds, and then I move into larger flowers, and I'm leaving a white center for each flower, because the delphinium kind of has this funny little white flower at the center of the larger bloom, and they're quite pretty that way. They almost remind me of bluebonnets and lupins, these big vertical flowers. flowers. Obviously, I've simplified the form of the flower quite a bit. It's not super realistic. I haven't captured every detail, but that's kind of the key to doing quick and fun journal drawings. Using the very tip of a green brush marker, or use a fine liner for this if you need to, but we're just going to add some stems, kind of join all the little buds at the top together, and just place a little bit of green wherever it looks good, frankly. Then you might want to fill out some of the flowers a bit more. They might need just a few more little blossoms. And then I'm doing these really messy leaves. The Delphinium has these big leaves that kind of almost look like a palm frond or something. So we're just doing these messy scribbly leaves. And I'll finally add just a hint of a darker green to kind of make those leaves a little more lively. Okay, get that cutting mat and ruler out again because we're going to cut out our Dutch door. This can be very finicky. So I use a paper knife and ruler as well as some embroidery scissors to do my cut. It's just so hard to film and it's really annoying, so I don't usually show it, but it's not like impossible. And then once that is cut out, I just felt like the flowers needed a little something more, so I decided to go with my usual sketchy black line, and I'm adding a bit of fine liner, especially to some of the lighter ones. That super light blue is like kind of melding into the page a little bit. So the fine liner just makes everything pop, and you can see I'm doing it very, very loose, almost these scribbly flowers. They're all a little different, and I'm just doing it very quickly, and I kind of want this to look very messy and fun and free. In the comments below, tell me, do you like a Dutch door, or are you like team, no way, I will never cut my journal? I totally get that, but at the same time, once I started doing it, I've really enjoyed doing the cutaway cover pages. I keep the calendar on the page below, which always looks pretty kind of in combination with the upper page. And then under the Dutch door, I have my goals and affirmations for the month, and I like that they're just tucked away and it kind of makes them feel a little more private. Now on this page, I wanted to draw a Delphinium just in fine liner so that it is a little more detailed and not as scribbly. And I start with the line for the stem, then I'm doing these very imperfect buds at the top, and then we start drawing these little flowers. And I start with a tiny 4 petals at the center, and then do a larger set of 5 or 4 petals around those tiny little petals. And I just keep making the blossoms larger as I go down the stem towards the bottom of the page. And you might add a few leaves and little branches at the bottom, and that's really all there is to the Delphinium. It's fun to draw, it's simple, and just remember to shake the pen or wiggle the pen just a little bit when you're drawing so that your lines aren't too smooth. Nothing in nature is that perfect, so you want that perfectly imperfect look. And don't beat yourself up if you feel like it doesn't look quite right. These are flowers. It's the perfect practice subject because it doesn't need to be perfect. It can be a little weird, and I think it will still look good. I mean, I think that about all drawing. The weirder, the better. That's what makes your unique voice interesting and unique, right? Anyways, I'm adding just a little bit of line shading. Line shading is always a great way to elevate your drawings. Drawing looks a little weird, add a bit of shading, really amps it up. And then that is all done. I have my Delphinium theme. We're gonna highlight the calendar. And then I thought maybe I'll even write Delphinium here. Just sometimes I like to put what the monthly birth flower is, and that's cute. And yeah, let's flip over because now we're going to work on our weekly layout. So this is a layout you've seen before. This is probably my favorite weekly layout because it's so structured. You're just going to make these rectangles across the bottom. You've got lots of room up top for your notes. And then there's also room for like a month title and calendar. Now, if you're using the Bear and Fig notebook, my rectangles are 7 squares across with 1 in between each of them, and then just make them as tall as you like, however much room you need. And then we write the date in marker. You could use any color at the top of each rectangle, and then of course just going over that date with the day of the week in fine liner. And I just try to do my best cursive, but you could also do a simple print if cursive writing is not your thing. I'm adding a calendar here as well. And then I'm going over the July title with my warm gray marker, and I'll just thicken that up a little bit, and then I'll use the fine liner to add a little bit of a shadow. That's always a nice look. Just do a chunky cursive and then add that little line shadow just on the right-hand side. And then obviously we're doing delphiniums, and they are kind of just this big vertical scribbly mess, are they not? So I thought it'd be really quick and simple to add some delphiniums to the weekly layout. Who knows if I'll have time to do this for every week of the month, but I'm starting off strong, and I'm using some more pastel-y hues of blue and purple to do just these tiny little mini delphiniums. And truly, this is just scribbles and dots, so keep it simple, don't overthink it. And then because there's all these lines at the bottom part of this layout, I like to do just a dotted line around the section for the notes. It's just a little lighter, but it still keeps everything separated. If you're drawing delphiniums in your journal, one little trick to make them look great is just to layer marker. If you have 2 colors of blue, use both of them, or if you have 2 shades of purple, that can make them look really pretty, and it's such a simple little trick. I'm going to highlight my calendar again there. I use the light blue, it's like not even barely there, but that's okay. And that is done. If you want to take a quick glance through my journal, I have my simple cover page for the second half of the year. Then we've got our cute self-portrait. I really hope you'll give this a try with the cutaway window page. It makes it so much fun, and that pink sky just brings it all together. We did delphinium for our July Dutch door cover page, sketched it out just in case you want to do just black and white in your journal. You could follow that one. It's a simple illustration. I've got an empty page there, which I will come back to. And then I have my July weekly spread. And remember, you can print that on Patreon. Go over to my Patreon to get bonus content every week, things like extra videos and worksheets. Right now you can get the cover page and the weekly layout for your own planner. And we'll finish this video with my little collage. Sometimes I don't want to glue pages together, but I also just want to leave a page in between. When that happens in my planner, I just add a little bit of ripped paper, maybe some washi tape. You could do a quote, a poem, anything works. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video and that you're getting back into planning as things somewhat get a little bit back to normal for you, hopefully. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you soon with a new tutorial.